crowd level reality check. What to expect?
Yeah, this is probably one of the toughest questions that we get asked to as travel agents is when is it not crowded at Disney or Universal? It's so hard to address that because we really don't know. And what I tell clients most of the time, just go in with the expectation that it's crowded.
Yeah.
That way, if it's not crowded, then hey, you're happy, but if you're planning on having crowds and planning for it to be busy and you do all the right things, then you're going in with a different expectation.
Yeah. I think I talked about it last year. Like I had clients that out of the blue were like, we want to go 4th of July weekend. And I was like, you're crazy. I was like, it's going to be stupid packed. And I set them up for that expectation. I think they said most days, the longest they waited was 15 minutes. Like perks to me for planning the trip, perks to them for going with expectations. Like you really do just got to set yourself up for expectations when you go. Welcome back to Going Beyond the Castle. I'm super excited to be here. As always, I am your host, Fred Briley, and with me as always is my fabulous co-host, Lori Talamo, and we are excited for this episode as we dive into some spring break tips because we are officially in March and we are approaching spring break season across the country. And the unfortunate side of traveling to Disney and Universal is that everybody has spring break at a different time. So we're going to dive into some tips today about how you can successfully do Disney and Universal during March and April and just still have a good time, even with the crowds that are going to be flooding to those locations. So yeah, super excited for today's episode. Before we dive in, as always, want to give a shout out to those that are joining us to go beyond the castle every single week. We really appreciate you guys. And as always, we ask that you guys definitely like our stuff, share it, and give us a follow. So with that being said, I will turn it over to Lori for some announcements. Apparently she has some announcements this week.
Yeah, I feel like Disney has released a little bit of teasers to give us a little bit more information of some new things that are coming up. With D23, they announced a lot of the new things that are happening. And it looks like they announced so they're going to update the Smuggler's Run. Like it's right in front of my face. Yeah, so they're going to debut that now. It's not until May 2026, but they're giving a little bit more details on exactly what that's going to be. So Mando and Grogu are going to join in on the Smuggler's Run.
So I'm super excited for that because Disney did a really good job on the series of Mandalorian. So I'm super excited to see that come into play in Smuggler's Run.
Yeah, Dara and I were talking about it a little bit this morning at church. And I don't know, we didn't do this one on the last trip just because, when you get placed with another family and since it was just the two of us, we decided to sit it out. But we'll definitely try it out when it's the new scenes. I think that'll be fun. It's always fun when you do new stuff.
We skipped it on our last two trips just because, again, like we rode it the very first time when it opened. And it was a super great ride. Rode it twice. But again, like it's just, for us, it was a one and done, especially with the whole, like, I got tired of being the person that always got sat in the back pushing the button. And that was all I did for the whole ride. Good.
Yes. Well, same with us. And I guess, too, because they do put you in with other families. Mm-hmm. So, of course, if you have other families that go and they have children, you kind of take the leftover. So we always are in the back, too. I don't think we've ever gotten to be pilots. So we were like, we're going to sit this one out. And we did do Rise, so that's important.
Oh, yeah. Must do ride every time.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Okay, so moving on over to Hollywood Studios Monsters, Inc. area. They put out a little bit of information on that as well. And so we knew that it was going to be a suspended coaster, but now it says it's like the first one to have a lift. Now, I missed exactly where the text is, but
it looks
I guess the lift,
a little bit like Soarin', kind of.
Yeah.
Did you see that? You saw the video that they put out?
I did see it, and you're right, it does, because it kind of looks where it lifts up, but then, I guess
it like turns you and...
Yeah. So I cannot wait. I want to see if I'm going to be able to get Josh on this one. Oh, he's watching.
Josh has to ride it. Like, he doesn't have a choice. He has to ride Monsters Ride. Josh, every
Right.
new ride that opens at a Disney park, you
Gotta
got to
do it.
ride it with her, because if not, you're depriving Lori of knowledge as a travel agent.
Thank you.
I'm here for
We
you.
have had this discussion a lot this week about how many times we have to go to Disney. And I'm like, it's literally my job.
Yes,
Like I have to go because it's research. So I
it's a
get it,
burden on
understand.
us, but it's worth it.
Right. I mean, I think he will. He'll do it with me. He gives in to my Disney
He does.
craziness. Yeah. Okay, so now, and I guess we're staying in Hollywood Studios, I think, or maybe this is over. No, Cars Land is going to be in
Magic Kingdom.
Magic Kingdom. But they announced, so this I thought was pretty cool. They actually went, so they kind of given a little bit of information, like they're calling it off-roading vehicles for the new Cars rides. And so they said they actually went out into the Arizona desert and jumped into an off-road vehicle just to kind of see what it would feel like driving over rocky terrain. So I'm very curious on how that's going to translate over to the Cars ride.
I think,
Kind of makes
like,
it sound like it might be a little rough, but
hey, and I'm fine with that. Disney, I feel like Disney needs a ride like that, like, because yeah, I don't know. But then again, the way with suspension is nowadays, especially on those rides, like they can make like the off road be a super smooth ride.
yeah, I'm excited. I cannot wait for this new stuff. I can't wait for Cars. I think it's
Yeah.
going to be fun. Okay, so they put out an article on like the refurbishment and the new things with all of the all-star resorts and with Pop. And so, they showed a lot of the concept art with the wall murals and murals, whatever. I can't talk. You guys know what I'm trying to say. Murals. Got it. Murals. No I. That look really neat. And I think you went since they've done some of the updates over to Pop. But what is super exciting and what's really going to make Pop even more attractive is getting a new coffee shop.
Yes, it's supposed to wrap up in April. Sadly, the food court was still under refurb.
Oh, I gotcha.
When we went, so we were sitting in the old, not updated portion. They had the back portion. No, they had the food court area actually cleared off or blocked off, and the seating still open, and then they positioned. But yeah, I saw they're getting a coffee shop now. Does it say whether it's going to be Joffrey's or Starbucks?
It doesn't say. So they don't really give much, or even, I don't even think it says when. It just says a brand new coffee shop is also joining the lineup, offering specialty beverages that are sure to perk up guests throughout the day. So
if it's not a Joffrey's, I'm going to be disappointed.
Yeah, hopefully it's not a Starbucks. I mean, I know I like my Starbucks sometimes, but I'm not a Starbucks fan.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that. I already love Pop. And especially, I think we may have talked about it a little bit, or maybe not, when, with us staying over at Saratoga Springs. I've done it, so I'm good. I definitely am going to go to Pop next time I can.
I got a referral today that she's looking at staying at Pop, and I'm so excited. But I always get super excited when people are like, I want to stay at Pop, and I'm like, yes, favorite resort ever. Let's talk about it.
Yes, it's so fun. And actually, I think next week we talk in resorts. So it is so fun. And especially, like, I love the pictures of the new updates that they've done. It's already a really fun resort, especially because let's be real, when we go to Disney, we want to be immersed in Disney. And so, some of the more upscale resorts, and some people like that. And I'm happy to sell you contemporary or help you book contemporary. But, I'm good with Pop. And then I'm not going to go into too many details. You can give us some information on that when you come back, although it'll probably be over.
I know where you're going with this.
Yes, they've put out a little bit more details on the 60th anniversary over at Disneyland. That's starting on May 16th. So if you have any interest in going, we can tell you about that. It looks like a lot of fun stuff. World of Color, Happiness.
The Star Wars night show is supposed to be going on while we're there. I'm pretty sure.
Fun. I'm so jealous. They're so jealous of you.
We had a group chat going the other day for those of us that are going. And I guess, luckily, me and the guy that I'm hanging out with, we planned our trip perfectly. But one of the nights, Disneyland. Sure. Yeah, we'll go with that. Disneyland is closing for a ticketed Star Wars night. Because I guess they have that going on right now. It's either Disneyland. It's one of the two parks. I can't remember which one it is.
Gotcha.
But
yeah,
and
it
of
looks
course there were a
super
couple
cool.
nerds that were like, "I'm so going to that." So,
And there you go. Yeah, it looks really fun. I mean,
does.
all the festivals that they do are super fun. Yeah, so we don't have to go too much, but they did put out some more information. So you're interested? It's not too late to book a trip.
Yeah.
We could tell you all about that. And then the last thing before we move on, I just want I don't know if you saw the video of the team members that they mic'd up that were walking through. I'm getting chills again. I know Josh is going to think I'm stupid.
Through Epic
I'm
Universe.
getting chills just thinking about it. When they mic'd up the team members that walked through Epic for the first time.
Yeah.
And at the very end, one of the guys was like, I get to work here. And I'm like, I'm so jealous of him. What an awesome feeling.
It looks like I've seen a couple videos, flyovers. I've seen a couple photos, both day and night. It's gonna be such a gorgeous park. Especially at nighttime. They really took into account building this park and how it would look at nighttime, because it just looks gorgeous.
I know. And I didn't tell you, but we've probably changed our family's plans. I had booked the trip to go in November.
Yeah.
With Olivia for her birthday, but she decided she would like to try a Virgin Voyages cruise instead. So we have to wait until she's 18. So we're gonna pivot and do it late. We thinking maybe Mardi Gras next year.
There you go.
But she still gave me permission to go on my agency trip without her.
There you go. Good job, Liz.
Because I was like, look, I'm okay with it. I would love to do a Virgin Voyages cruise with you, but you promised that you won't get mad if I go on my agency trip. Right. So I'm hoping by then we can get 1-day tickets, and I could still throw in an Epic Day on that trip.
I'm sure we'll see some 1-day tickets by that point.
Yeah, but I thought that video was so awesome because it was just pure. It's almost like when you're with someone who's visiting Disney for the first time, or, that I don't know that Universal usually really gets that same feeling when you walk through for the first time like you do at Disney, but I felt it in that Epic video.
Well, we'll find out, because I'm going to mic Jamel up when I take him for the first time at the end of May. So I fully plan to mic him up the day we walk into Magic Kingdom.
That's awesome.
We'll see if it's the same. High expectations from Jamel.
That'll be fun. Anyway, that's it for announcements.
Nice.
Some cool stuff.
Another major that's super near term, but the stuff at Magic Kingdom or at Disney World is really going to be great once we start seeing some movement on that stuff.
I got it. We have a prom dilemma this weekend, and so I just got a text, so I needed to pivot for a second. Okay. Wait till you get to prom days.
Nope, not ready for that. I still got 13 years. Good.
Yes, it's not anything bad, just appointments overlapping. So we're all good now.
Okay, so let's dive into. We got 45 minutes to talk crowds at Disney World and Disneyland.
All right, let's do it.
We can stay on track tonight. Last week we just kind of went, and it's a long episode.
Yeah, we'll try. We'll not to.
All right, so crowd level reality check. What to expect?
Yeah, this is probably one of the toughest questions that we get asked to as travel agents is, when is it not crowded at Disney or Universal? It's so hard to address that because we really don't know. And what I tell clients most of the time, just go in with the expectation that it's crowded.
Yeah.
That way, if it's not crowded, then hey, you're happy, but if you're planning on having crowds and planning for it to be busy and you do all the right things, then you're going in with a different expectation.
Yeah. I think I talked about it last year. I had clients that out of the blue were like, we want to go 4th of July weekend. And I was like, you're crazy. I was like, it's going to be stupid packed. And I set them up for that expectation. I think they said most days, the longest they waited was 15 minutes. Perks to me for planning the trip, perks to them for going with expectations. You really do just got to set yourself up for expectations when you go.
Yeah. And I think you said it in the intro too. What's different about spring break is, unless you're going to research all across the states of, when everyone's spring break is. It's really hard to tell when spring breaks are happening and when it's going to be crowded. I know for the most part, it's typically mid-March to April is when those spring breaks are happening, especially around Easter, wherever Easter falls too. You have to take
Yeah.
that into consideration. Again, it's super difficult. There are crowd calendars out there that we can look at or that you can look, but just, since COVID, it's really hard for them to really project on what's happening. So some of the things to keep in mind over on the Disney side, as well as spring break, is you also have the Epcot Flower and Garden Festival that's happening over, which I don't know that necessarily that will make the crowds a lot more, but it is a festival that's going on. Anytime you have festivals over at Epcot, you will get, a little bit more crowds. I don't know. I was going to say that's probably one of my favorite festivals. I do like Food and Wine.
A weekday festival all day. It's go on a weekday.
Yeah, but I do love Flower and Garden Festival. And then early April, you'll run into the springtime surprise weekend, the race over at Disney. You have Easter in there. And then once you get into May, you'll have Memorial Day. So those are also dates that you want to consider if you're looking around spring break.
Yeah, and I mean, I think I've said it before too, and it's like a kind of a motto that I'll stick to is if kids are going to be out of school, it's going to be busy. Just because, people all over the country love to travel anytime the kids are out of school because, I mean, let's be honest, if you don't go to an all-year school, like those times during those long weekends and those week breaks that you're off during the school year, people love to travel. So not everybody, of course, is going to go to Disney or Universal, but a lot of those people do. So just, rule of thumb is if kids are out of school, just plan for it to be busy.
Yeah, definitely. But there are ways to work around that. I feel like we hit the crowd level one pretty quick.
We did.
There's really not much you could say,
Not.
It's going to be crowded or you may get lucky and it's not. And then two, one of the things, it's so hard to tell, but like, I know forever it was like, don't go to Epcot on the weekends because that's when the locals go.
Yeah.
But then you may go on a weekend and like, oh, it's not really that crowded.
Well, that's the thing. Like you really, I mean, it goes back to what you said at the very beginning. You really just have to go into it with the mindset that it's going to be busy because we can't rely on crowd calendars anymore. Crowd calendars give us a good idea, but like you shouldn't look at the crowd calendar, see that it's yellow or orange. You'd be like, crap, I got to move my entire trip. Like,
right.
Absolutely shouldn't do that by any means.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like there are times, like for me, I will not go during Mardi Gras. I will not go again during Thanksgiving, even though I almost just did it. But that was for a specific reason. But there are families who can't help it. That's, now look, I've said it before, like when Olivia, we can only go in the summer. It's hot as heck. If I could only go during spring break, that's the only time I'm going to get to go. I'm going and I'll make it work. But, you take the planning steps in. So don't take what we're saying as, oh, it's going to be so crowded, I don't want to go. We can help you navigate through and make your days work. You just have to go in with the expectation that it's going to be crowded. And you're not going to get 10-minute lines.
Yeah, no. I mean, you could. It just depends on what you really got to go into it with a strategy, which, just segueing into the next one.
Absolutely, yeah.
I have people all the time that are like, I'll never go back to Disney. I went one time and it was the worst experience in my life. And I'm like, okay, well, tell me about your trip. And they're like, we showed up and everything was a 45-minute to an hour and a half wait. I'm like, did you do any research? Did you plan your trip? Like, did you do any prep work? No, we just showed up. I'm like, there's why your trip sucked. Like, you can absolutely, you can absolutely show up and wing a trip and you got a 50-50 shot of, it being a good trip. But, one of the things that, Rachel and I do with all of our clients is, before they go on their trips, we schedule a sit down with them and we're like, all right, what rides do you want to do? What characters do you want to see? What shows do you want to see? What's important to you about this trip? And then from there, we just take it. We're like, all right, so, you want to do safari. Like, okay, you're going to Animal Kingdom, you want to do safari. This is when we really recommend you should do safari. This is when we recommend you do this, and just really go into it with a plan. And if you do that, like, there's a solid chance you're going to have a really good trip.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. One of the things I like to tell folks to do too is, especially, and I know we're going to get into that at some point, especially if you're going to buy lightning lanes or, I mean, with the express pass is different because you don't have to schedule your times.
Right.
If you're going to do the lightning lanes or whatever, like, get a map out. And even for myself, as many times as I've been, I still, like, if I'm planning my park days, I pull up the map on one computer and then I have my phone because you know what, you want to be strategic and you want to see what's available and, and plan your days around that. And one thing I don't do is I don't like to zigzag across the park. So I may have to, sacrifice a little bit of time and say I'm going to stay in line a little bit longer just so I can get these, this area of the park done first, then kind of make my way around, So you just have to pick and choose your strategy and what works for you.
Yeah. And for us, as we start approaching, my Disneyland trip, and as we start approaching my Disney World trip in May, like a week out, like I'm going to start watching the app and be like, okay, what rides are super popular? Because every week it's different. 1 week Soarin' could be a 10-minute wait. And then the next day it's like 2-hour wait. So you really got to keep an eye on the rides as you approach the trip and just kind of, strategize. But, one of the things that we definitely want to hit on is like the time that you arrive in the parks. I think Lori and I will always say, whether it's Disney, whether it's Universal, like, stay at a on-property resort.
Absolutely.
Get a lot of perks out of that. And one of the biggest perks is the early entry. So, you have a lot of people that can't necessarily do open to close, and, that's totally fine. If you want to do early entry, like, that's definitely one of the things we recommend doing, is getting there like an hour early, before early entry even starts, because those lines are going to start forming up, 30 to 40 minutes before early entry starts. So really get there early, get in line, and have a plan of where you're going, because like for Magic Kingdom, for example, the left side of the park stays closed. So everybody gets funneled to the right and goes around to the back. But Tron is not part of early entry. So if you go in with this mindset that you're going to ride Tron, you're going to be hurt. So make sure you do the research knowing what rides are open. And it's I was talking to somebody today, one of my clients is there right now, and hopefully they don't take this the wrong way, but they were talking, they're going to Epcot tomorrow, and they were like, so we're going to do early entry. What ride should we do for early entry? Should we do Guardians or Spaceship Earth? No, not Spaceship Earth, Mission Space. And I was like, first of all, you don't rope drop Mission Space. Mission Space is available all day.
Yeah.
But then she was like, well, he doesn't like roller coasters. I'm like, all right, well, let's talk Frozen. Let's talk Remy's, because, those are going to be one of the two rides that you want to hit. But, if you're coming in from the front of the park, keep in mind that all the people that are on the Skyliner are going to hit Remy's. So you may want to go hit Frozen. So it's things like that you really got to strategize if you're going to do early entry.
I do recommend too, and I have the conversation with clients as well. My family are not rope droppers. They don't want to get up early, but we know going in, we know that we're behind the crowd. So once we get there, but I do purchase the multi-pass and the single pass, because let's be real, when you go to Disney, you just pretend like you have all the money in the world and you just spend it on everything. So I plan my first lightning lane or the single pass to start the day and just kind of work from there. We don't go too late.
Yeah.
We'll get there by 9, but we're not rope droppers, but I have those conversations with clients. If you want to maximize the day, again, go early. Or if you want to sleep in a little late, then plan on staying until the end. Just kind of depends on, like you said, what your priorities are.
Well, if you want to be there. You guys don't really do shows, because you've done a lot of the nighttime shows multiple times. So that's a solid strategy for a lot of people, is you sleep in. Once those nighttime shows start happening, you start hitting rides, because everybody's going to be watching the shows.
Watching the show.
And, you rock out rides through those shows up until right when the park closes, you get in the busiest line dead last, and you wait that bad boy out.
Yeah, we timed it, and I might have talked about it one time when we took my in-laws the first time they had ever been to Disney, and I wanted my mother-in-law to see the show. I was like, well, let's let her go watch, but we just, already decided to do rides. But we actually timed it where we were on Big Thunder Mountain at the time of the fireworks, so
I
that was
remember you
super
saying
cool.
that.
Yeah, so that was awesome too. So yeah, if you're ride heavy, definitely recommend riding during the fireworks. But I also recommend seeing it at least once.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And getting back onto what you said, like, I think, getting into Lightning Lane and Universal Express Pass, I definitely think the Express Pass is always worth it at Universal, and if you can afford to stay in one of the top 3 resorts, which is Hard Rock,
Portofino.
What's the other one? Is it Royal Pacific? No.
Yes.
Is it?
You're making me think.
Yeah, right? I'm going to have to look it up. I can't remember what the third one is.
Oh, man. I'm going to look it up.
But if you can stay in one of those top 3 resorts, like, 1, you get early entry. 2, it includes the Universal Unlimited Express Pass. So, like, strongly recommend that. And, one of the great things about Universal Express Pass is, like Lori said, you don't have to pre-book your rides. Like, you just show up and you just hop in the line for whatever ride you want to ride. And I'm telling you, it's totally worth it. Like, the last time that we used it, we rode every single ride in the park almost twice, and we're done each day by 5 o'clock. Like, and we left the parks and went and got dinner, like walked City Walk, and just had a casual evening because there was literally nothing else to do. Whereas, Lightning Lane, multi-pass, single pass, we've had the conversation before, but hopefully one day Disney will transition to the Universal style. But, I strongly, if you're going to Animal Kingdom, I can kind of say, get it for Avatar. I don't know if I would recommend it for anything else at Animal Kingdom. Epcot, like, unless you have kids that absolutely have to ride Frozen or Remy's, like, I would say you could also avoid it there. If you're going to Magic Kingdom and if you're going to Hollywood Studios anytime March to April, like, just go ahead and drop that, $35 a person and get it for both of those parks each day. It's gonna save you time.
Yeah. I just want to tell you, it is Royal Pacific. I always confuse that one with Sapphire Falls. So you're right.
Score.
Yeah. And the jury is still out for me on Premier Pass.
My client said she loved it. Like, and
I'm sure.
She got it for Magic Kingdom and she said totally worth it. Like, if you can afford to drop like $400 a day per person, like, live your best life.
I'll say I saw on Facebook somebody in one of the groups, maybe the tips and tricks groups or something. I don't. And folks, if y'all are listening, don't believe everything you hear in those groups.
Facts.
But somebody posted, I hope it's worth it. And it was a day for Hollywood Studios and it was $1,800.
I know the exact post you're talking about. And everybody was like, no, don't buy it.
And I'm like, I don't know. For a Premier Pass, you can only use it in one park. So it's not like you can park hop and use it somewhere else. To me, I would not spend $1,800 for Hollywood Studios. I wouldn't. I thought that was wild. I was like,
saw
oh
that
my
post.
gosh.
I read all of it. Yes. Please do not. If you listen to this podcast and you are part of one of the Facebook groups that has like 15,000 people in it, and it's like for tips and tricks about Disney and Universal, please don't believe everything that you see in that post or in that group. Right. Because 99% of people have been to Disney once and they think they know everything in the world. So
exactly.
Take it with a grain.
And speaking of groups, I know we haven't been super active in our group.
Facts.
We try to get that group to grow. And once we do, then we can have those kind of conversations in there. Because then you have Fred and I, who are both seasoned travel agents and have been multiple times, and we can answer those questions. So shout out for our group. Go and share and join the group. And then we can have those discussions. And then you can leave the other groups or just take it with a grain of salt when you see stuff, especially the off the wall stuff about them taking out the Tree of Life or some random stuff that they post.
Yeah, they post some crazy stuff in those groups.
Yeah. Anyway, back to
Lightning Lane Universal Express Pass, is definitely going to be a time saver, especially during those busy seasons. I think, if you get to the slower seasons, late January, February, even early March, and, sometime in the fall, like August, September, I could easily say, you could do a really successful Disney trip without either of those, Disney and Universal trip without either of those. Yeah. But, looking specifically at spring break time, just consider it an investment in your trip. Like,
Absolutely.
don't consider it like an extra that you have to buy. Consider it an investment to make your trip better.
Yeah. Add it to your package. That way, you know, well,
Disneyland, you can, not Disney World.
Disney World, you can't. But
Come
if
on,
you do it
Disney
with
World.
Universal, then you have time to pay for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I haven't done Express Pass, but we've always gone to Universal on off times, so we've made it work. But I would absolutely get it if we went during a holiday or a busy time. I would make it work.
And then we kind of talked about it a little bit, but staying on the whole rides aspect, like definitely do the research. Like I mentioned it a little, do the research. Like if you know that you're going to want to rope drop, like the week before, like get up at that time and start looking at, ride
Yeah,
time, see what rides are
times
going to
are.
be. Thrill Data is a fabulous website that I also recommend to everybody. They pull some fabulous data from all of the parks to include, what times the rides were busy, what times they weren't. It also pulls data for, lightning lanes and single passes, multi passes, like how far out, many days out they sell out versus how quickly into the day the multi-pass sells out. Like there's a lot of really good websites that can also help you strategize. Like, all right, I can see that Mission Space is never busy, so let's not rope drop that. Whereas I can see that Guardians is like busy right there because it's right near the main entrance and people just beeline towards it. So let's hit that one. So definitely, strategize those rides and do the research before, you get to the park.
Yeah, definitely.
And then, of course, it's always important to talk food because if you've ever been to Disney and even Universal during a busy time, you know that those lines are stupid long. And when you wait to eat until you're hungry, you're going to wait even longer because the lines are stupid long. So one of the things that we've always talked about is just making sure, to find restaurants that have that mobile order opportunity, really take advantage of mobile order. That way you can really just like, all right, I'm starting to get hungry. Let's mobile order food. All right, 30 minutes from now, we'll go pick up our food from Columbia Harbor House and eat our lobster rolls. Like, really make sure you're taking advantage of mobile ordering to hit those times of when you're eating.
Yeah, when Josh and I went in February. I keep forgetting now. We've been so many times when we went last. We didn't really have any plans. We knew our first day there we were going to Epcot because, of course, I wanted to ride Guardians. And so we just went in. Shoot, now forgot the name of it. Connections.
Oh, Connections Cafe.
And so the reason why is because I wanted to try the pizza there because I was told that the pizza there was kind of comparable to Via Napoli, which I can still say I like Via Napoli better, but it was good. It was better than a pizza window. But anyway, we went in and the lines were so long. And so I was like, hold on. So I mobile ordered. Like within 5 minutes, we got our food. And there was still people like just packed in the lines. I'm like, this is crazy to not use mobile order.
Yeah, absolutely. Like mobile order is just such a fabulous tool to use to really save you time in the parks. Like, even if the parks aren't busy, just use it. You're going to thank us later. Like,
right. Yeah.
Because, I mean, like Lori said, your food is ready so much faster with mobile order.
Yep. I think it took us longer to find a table than it did for us to get our food.
Yeah. And I mean, I will say too, like, going to Disneyland for all of 2 days, like, we don't have a lot of time. There's so much to do. And, thankfully, there's a lot of stuff at Disneyland that is also at Disney World. So, as a travel agent who's never been to Disneyland, like, thankfully, I don't have to try to hit every single ride there. But I do want to spend a lot of time focusing on rides and attractions, things like that. And if that's the type of person you are, one of the things that we are already planning to do is, like, I think we're only planning to do one sit-down dinner, and that's because we're going as like a big group, so we want to have time to get together. But it wasn't for that. Like, I honestly think like we would prioritize quick service and doing that mobile order and just eating on the go. Because if you really want to focus on the rides and the attractions and the shows, like, avoid those table service dinners that are going to take an hour and a half of your time, and just grab some mini corn dogs from Casey's Corner and just go straight back to it. Just probably don't go ride like Tron right after eating that. But
No, not at all. Yeah, we were just talking about Casey's Corner at work the other day because I was saying how I don't like hot dogs. And then somebody brought up corn dogs. I'm like, you know what? I did eat the corn dog nuggets at Casey's Corner when I went
Really
for the,
good.
yeah, it was good.
All right.
Or good.
We ready to move over to beat the heat?
Yes, let's move on to beat the heat. And so I know we're talking about spring break, and so which could be, we said March or April, but let's be real, it's hot in Orlando most of the time. So there are ways though that you can beat the heat, especially now with those guests. Fred mentioned how it's good to stay at a Disney resort. I feel like we're talking mostly about Disney, and this is supposed to be Disney and Universal, but with your, everyone gets a free water park day now. When on your check-in day, you can hit the water park. So that's a good alternative to like spend the day there just to kind of get acclimated, especially if you're not used to the heat. Take use of that free water park day and go spend the day there. Or if you're at Universal, it's not free, but you can get the 3 park tickets that includes Volcano Bay. And so you can spend one of your days over at Volcano Bay. So it's always fun, water slides and pools and all of those things to kind of cool you off. And then it's a little bit different. However, we're not water park family, so I have not done any of them. I can tell you that my travel agent besties that I hang out with love Volcano Bay. Lori is one, and she loves it, so she will talk up Volcano Bay all the time. I'm kind of sorry I didn't do it when we went on our last trip. But I chose the Disney life instead on that day. It's good to find, like spots to cool off. We talk a lot about, or at least I do, although when we went in February, it was kind of hot in there, but find rides like Carousel of Progress where you can get out and take a break from the heat. Or if you're over at Animal Kingdom, go see a show, go see Lion King, or go see Finding Nemo. There's what's the Beauty and the Beast show over at Hollywood Studios. Over in Universal, there's the Born show. Find a spot that has some AC midday. And if you do want to take a little break to have a bite to eat, you can book a lunch as well to get inside somewhere. One of the things that we've done, and it was like a lifesaver, was the cooling towels. Because again, the last 2 years we had to go in the summer because of Olivia's cheer life. And that's the only time that we could go. And those cooling towels were like great. The one day, like one trip, I think it was either June or July. I mean, it was super hot, but like it didn't feel miserable because, they keep your neck wet and you just kind of pat your face. I don't know. Have y'all used those or y'all do fans?
We have 4 of them in our Disney suitcase downstairs. We have a suitcase that just stays ready, ponchos, fans, neck fans,
sweet,
reusable straws, cooling towels. Like it just stays ready.
Yeah. So those are good. And I got them on Amazon. They were fairly cheap. They were like 4 in a pack for maybe like $20. Now you can get them at the parks, but you're going to probably pay $20 for one, because especially the ones at Disney, they have the little, Mickey heads on them. And then one of the cool things about, and I don't know, maybe you'll know, I don't know if they do this at Universal, probably so, but at Disney you can get cups of ice water. And so we'll do that a lot.
Yeah,
drink the water and chew on the ice. Yeah,
they have a lot of the small little hole in the wall places will have like a cooler of water set up. They just don't want you using your own water bottle. They say for sanitary purposes, but it's probably just so people don't spill like all the water. Yeah, you can walk up, you can grab as many reusable cups as you want, but don't put it in your own water bottle.
Yeah, well, I could see, especially like if they put the part where they drink out of close to it.
Did you already hit? I got distracted. Did you already hit the shaded rest stops in each park?
I did not. I skipped it, to be honest. Yeah, I went straight for the cooling towels. Yeah, it's so hard because I know a lot of people like Epcot is the hottest or Animal Kingdom. They are pretty hot.
They're all hot.
They're all hot, to be honest. When you're there, in the hot months or when the humidity's going, there are shaded spots though. I know you mentioned a lot about Flame Tree Barbecue. How they have that little seated area where you can get some shade.
One too, if you have kids, like one of the places I always recommend for kids, one at Epcot, is if you go into the Mission Space exit, there's a kids
little
play area
pad thing.
Yeah, it's indoors, so it's like a jungle gym indoors, so it's a great spot for your kids to play. Like if you're doing a rider swap, one of the parents is riding Guardians, The other one can take the kids over and let them play at the exit of Mission Space. Um, if you go to Magic Kingdom and you go like you're going to ride on Dumbo, but halfway through the queue, you go into the Jungle Gym area.
Yes.
That's another really
And play
fabulous
in there.
spot to cool off, let the kids play for a little bit, get out of the sun. Hollywood Studios, really, it's your shows. There's a couple shaded areas,
Yeah.
Back on Sunset Boulevard that are shaded and typically tend to be not very crowded. There's a couple good areas back over there, but really a lot of your shows are going to hit it. And the same thing for Animal Kingdom. Like there's not really like a good like place to just chill.
Just chill.
So again, if you can get into Festival of the Lion King, or even if you can get back to Rafiki's Planet, like that's always a good spot to hang out to and get out of the sun for a little bit.
Yeah, no more Dino Land, so you can't go anywhere over there.
Thank God.
I just saw where they took the big dinosaur down.
No, Gertie's at Hollywood Studios.
No, Gertie's Hollywood Studio. I forgot what the name was.
Yeah,
they called it. Yeah, but that's gone too. Yeah, and I'm trying to think, like I'm walking through in my head, Universal. I mean, in the DreamWorks area, they do have the little section where it's the Kung Fu Panda. That's covered.
Yeah.
And they also have like the little splash pad there. So there's some shade there. I can't really think too much. Like even on the Islands of Adventure side, I feel like I can't really think of any like shaded areas.
Yeah.
Go hide in the locker rooms.
Playground. Sorry, I'm back on Disney.
No, that's okay.
Epcot's got a new shaded playground area for the festival. I'm going to check it out when I go in May.
What else we got? Yeah, one of the things I do, because hydration is definitely important. So usually what I do in the morning before we start our day is I'll drink now I used to drink liquid IV, but recently just changed over to a healthier option, less ingredients, LMNT is what it's called. I don't know if you're familiar with that. But I'll drink that before I start my day. So at least I've got a bottle of water in with the hydration stuff in to get started. And then definitely make sure you're drinking water throughout the day because you don't want to get dehydrated on top of being hot and crowded.
And definitely just to, get in one last little spiel before we move on. It's definitely just know when to take those breaks. You cannot harp that enough. If you don't know when to take breaks in the crowds and in the heat, your trip is going to be miserable because everybody's going to start fighting. Your kids are going to get angry. Your spouse is going to get angry. Just take the 10 minutes to sit down, drink some water, and just chill. Or your trip is not going to be fun.
Yeah. I feel like we went really quick in the beginning. I feel like, I don't know how long we've been here now. Oh, we're at 9 minutes. Okay.
49 minutes.
So all right. So as far as Fred said, make sure you take breaks. You don't want to stress out. I know it's hard because when I'm on vacation, I hate to go back to the room and take a nap, but if you have to go take a nap, go take a nap. It's much better to get that little rest than, to have a miserable trip or go nap on People Mover.
Facts. Been there, done that. Great recommendation.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Or when you ride through Space Mountain, your nap gets ruined very quickly.
Yeah, with the screams and the... Yeah. It's so crazy. It's funny because every time I ride that, I forget how dark it gets until we're in there. Yeah.
All right. Best rides and attractions for crowded days. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So best rides and attractions for crowded days. I will say that, if you're going to go to Disney or Universal, make sure you download the apps, just because those are really going to be, the best information for up-to-date stuff of where you need to go. Like if you're going to go in and just wing it, at least download the apps because, you're going to be able to see Guardians is, 120 minutes, but Living with the Land is 10 minutes. Let's go there. So that way, what rides to hit, at the moment. If you're not sure where to go, just go look for one of the rides with the low wait times. Honestly, there's not a lot of rides at Disney that aren't great. Same thing for Universal. A lot of the rides are really, really good rides. I think the only ride that weirds me out is Winnie the Pooh, and that's just because it's like, I don't know, it's just like a psychedelic drug overdose type of ride. It's weird.
Does it weird you out more than E.T.?
Yeah. Yeah.
Huh. That's
So
fun.
definitely, keep an eye on the apps, so you can know. And of course, if you're older and not an technology person, a lot of the parks do have, signs up of like, hey, you're in Frontierland. Here's the wait times for all the rides in Frontierland. Or, hey, you're in, the New York section of, Universal Studios. Like, here's the wait times for these. So definitely just keep an eye out for those. One of the things that I always say is, when in doubt, just try to go for a show. There's a lot of really
Yeah.
great shows that just run continuously. Like Mickey's PhilharMagic is a great way to get out of the heat and just rest for a little bit. You know, Festival of the Lion King, Muppets, like a lot of those shows just continuously run. Moving over
Hmm.
to Universal, you've got the Jason Bourne stunt show. Hollywood Studios, you've got Indiana Jones. There's shows and attractions all over the park that are just continuously running, and they're not rides. So they usually have really quick wait times, and they have a massive queue, so they can fill up like a whole stadium really quickly.
Yeah.
So I would definitely just say, if you're looking and you can't figure out what ride to do because everything looks long, just go hit a show, because guarantee you got a 15-minute wait and you'll be in that show.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's crazy because when we went to do the Bourne show, I had never done it before, and I'm like, okay, it'll be just like a little quick, take a break. But it was amazing.
Yeah.
And the same thing when I went into the Lion King show. I was like, oh, it's going to be, whatever. And it was amazing.
Yeah.
So even if you're not a show person, typically it's going to be awesome. You're going to enjoy it. It's going to immerse you into whatever it is, whatever the show is. Finding Nemo, I haven't done that one yet, which I want to do that one.
The first time we went, I think we've talked about this. The very first time I ever did it was childless, and I was with Rachel and her dad, and it was just the worst experience of my life. Did it back in September, which of course it was a different show. They changed a lot of things from back when we went in 2018. It was a really fabulous show. Strongly recommend the show. If you get the opportunity to go see the Finding Nemo show at Animal Kingdom, please do. Have it. Great show.
Yeah, definitely want to check it out.
That was a quick section. I like it.
Yeah, and I feel like even, we kind of already talked a little bit, like, going into the next section, like, what are some other things to do when the rides are too packed, which we've kind of talked about, with the shows. But another thing too is they, like they have scavenger hunts, which I don't know if I hadn't researched this one. So if you let me know if there's one at Magic Kingdom, if that note is legit or if that was made up. I do know of the one over in Epcot.
Mm-hmm.
So when Brady, and I don't know if it's still the same way, but the very first time that we went, there was, it was like Phineas and Ferb. I think it was
Perry the Platypus.
Perry the Platypus. Yes, we did that. I remember over in England when he had to go into the tea shop and say like a secret code to the girl working, and then she gave him something super cool. That's really fun for the kids to do.
I think they got rid of that.
They also have one. They got rid of that one.
Yeah, I don't think
because I think he even got like a little walkie-talkie or something.
Yeah.
But they do have like the passport where you go to the different countries and get it stamped. So there's different things that you can do. Gosh, where's that? Is that over in Animal Kingdom? They have the petting zoo.
They have over in Animal Kingdom. They have, what's his name from Up? The little Boy Scout dude. Doug.
Oh,
no, that's the dog.
Doug is the dog. No, Kevin's the bird.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's the one that Kevin said. I mean, that Josh said I was. Me and him last week. He said the kid.
Yeah, they have like a little thing that you can do around Animal Kingdom where you get like little nature badges for stuff that you do.
Oh, yes.
That's a really cool one.
The Explorer badge or something.
Explorer badges, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so they have those kind of things that are fun for kids. So, do those things when the ride lines are too busy, or go in the shops. There's so many shops, which I know if you have little kids, it's kind of hard to do that because they want to buy everything.
Facts. Or just touch it.
But over in Universal, they have a lot of the themed shops. You have the Spider-Man toys over close by, which I know nobody wants to buy ET toys, but over in that area they have it. They got the SpongeBob stuff. There's so many shops that you can kind of walk in to. And so that's kind of some ways to do extra things that aren't rides to kind of keep the time flowing, I guess you could say.
And I'll say, just to wrap it up too, even sometimes too, like, if you're just looking and the parks are super busy and you just want to try changing it up, like there's a lot of things that you can do outside of the park. Like you can go out of the park and go back in at any point. If you don't have park hopper, don't try to go to a different park. Go back to the same park that you were in.
Right.
But, there's a lot of great things that you can do outside of the parks. This last trip of ours really made me a big fan of resort hopping. The resorts, especially around the parks, are absolutely gorgeous resorts that have their own style and own, Disney vibe that, take a break, go out and see one of the resorts. One, you're going to experience something new. Two, you're going to get some air conditioning. So always a great thing to do. Whether you're at Disney or Universal, like go check out one of their like shopping areas, their outlet malls. For Disney, you have Disney Springs. Go over there. Disney Springs is massive. There's so much to do, so much to see. And here soon they're going to get some new arcade type stuff over there at Disney Springs. Universal City Walk is a great place to go. It's not as big, but there's still a lot of cool stuff that you can go check out. And then of course, like, if the parks are just too busy, go hit up a water park, go hit up Volcano Bay or Typhoon Lagoon. And just, take a break from the heat, go swim for a little bit, There's so much
you can also
to
swim
do
at your resort too.
Yeah, like there's so much to do at Disney Universal outside of the park. Like they are not just the park. So definitely take advantage of those.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, we covered everything in 58 minutes. Not bad.
Sweet. And I just noticed on the wrap up, I didn't change it from last week.
I noticed. It's fine.
We're not gonna thank our partners.
I'll wrap again as we wrap up. Definitely if you're going to be going to Disney or Universal during spring break, please, do some planning and just be prepared for the crowds. If you're not sure how to plan properly, Lori and I would love to help you out and help you plan a trip. It's what we do for a living. So definitely reach out if there's any way that we can help you guys plan a trip. But definitely, take a listen to this episode, if anything. And we've covered a lot of great tips and tricks on how to, handle the crowds because, during this season, like it's going to be hard to avoid the crowds. So just be prepared to handle the crowds.
Yep, definitely. Yep, you can do it.
All right. So next week, I need to prepare for this episode.
Yeah, I'm a little scared. I'm intimidated a little bit about next week, only because I haven't stayed. So we're going to do a final countdown where we rank. We should join the worship team.
I am on the worship team.
You're already on it, but you know what I mean. So we're going to rank the Disney resorts. So I think what I'd like to do is maybe poll the audience a little bit this week. So we'll throw some questions out and see what people think on ranking the resorts to get some feedback on that. So we'll see. I'll put some stuff out there.
Yeah. All 26 of them. I don't know. I just made that number up, but that sounds about right.
Yeah. So we'll chat a little bit before to kind of get on some strategy on how we're going to do it. But yeah, I think it'll be fun. Especially, I think it'll be informative too for folks who haven't been. And then also to see, especially from the different perspectives, especially now from staying in a deluxe resort and also staying in moderates and values, like, how we compare and what we think is best for you. Yeah, of course, if you have the money and you're used to staying in the elegant resorts, then go for it. But if not, we can make an all-star or pop work too.
Who's closing out? Is it me or you?
I'll close to that.
Okay.
I'll give you a break. No, again, we just want to thank everyone. I know Fred says it all the time. And shout out to Fred. I know I say this all the time, but we have a new intro video that I thought was really awesome. And it's because of all of you guys that we continue to do this and that, we want to make this a podcast successful, not only because it's fun for us, but we want to keep it going and give you folks some entertainment and some fun stuff to listen to. I know I have a few podcasts that I listen to and I think it's super fun. So if you're looking for information about the show or you want a vacation quote, you can visit us at our website at goingbeyondthecastle.com to connect with us on social media, to listen to our podcast, stay up to date with all the things Disney, Universal, and cruising. You can check us out on our Beacons page at beacons.com/Going Beyond the Castle. And lastly, if you do want information on a quote, or if you have some topics that you'd like to talk to us about, or just want some information on anything that we've discussed, or just to say hello so we can get to know you, you can reach us at info@goingbeyondthecastle.com.
Good job.
I did it.
You did it.
Yay.
All right.
All right.
Cool.
But that was it. So good night, everyone.
Have a good night. We'll talk to
See
you
y'all
guys
next week.
Thank you for joining us on this magical journey. We hope today's episode brought a little extra spark to your day and inspired your next adventure. Whether it's a thrilling escape to Universal, a dream cruise getaway, or unforgettable memories at Disney. Have questions? A topic you'd like us to cover? Your own magical story to share or looking for travel assistance? We'd love to hear from you. Drop us a line at info@goingbeyondthecastle.com. Be sure to check out all our social media links and podcast platforms at beacons.ai/Going Beyond the Castle podcast. And don't miss the fun in our Facebook group, Going Beyond the Castle Podcast Lounge, where we share tips, updates, and behind-the-scenes moments. Until next time, see you real soon.